Welcome to another episode of Learn Croatian. I think it's number 16 now, and today we are going through the Croatian names of the months in the year. As you all know, we have a kind of strict language policy in Croatian, so we are using still, and it's no novum. It's not been forcibly introduced into the language. We've been using Old Slavic month names for the past decades and centuries. There is also a second set of names, Latin-based, and it's not the same as the Serbs use it regularly. And so let's start. So we have the first month, which is Siećanj. So usually there are like 2 to 5 stories for every month, like why its name is like this or that. And sieći means to cut. So the peasants in the former times went to the woods in the winter time to cut down some trees to get their wood. But also in the first month of the year there was some day where with a church celebration there was some saint, as there are being remembered, like many of them are being remembered throughout the year, and they say that some dialectal names for January are coming from Svet or Svit or Svečan. So it's from a saint in some dialects. Then we have February, which is Veljača. In older Croatian resources, they say that Velji is the comparative form of big. So the people were noticing that in February the days are getting longer or bigger. It's long or big, right? What's next? March, Ožujak. Some of you might know the beer brand mark Ožujsko pivo, and I just said it like a Polish guy, Ožujsko pivo. So I guess they have been making the beer from the young wheat, from the first one that they collected in spring. But why Ožujak? Let me just look it up again. Yeah, it's something like the lying month. One day there is snow, the next day it's rain, then the next day after that you have sunshine but also wind, etc. So the weather is not constant. It's changing every day. It's not it's not keeping any promises. That's what I wanted to say. The fourth month is quite obvious. Travanj comes from trava, from the grass. Like in the fourth month in Croatia, the grass is getting out, it's growing, it's flourishing. Then the fifth month is Svibanj, and that comes from the word sviba, which means cornel tree. So the cornel tree is getting is flourishing, blooming, whatever. The sixth month is Lipanj, and lipa is also a tree. It's lime or linden tree. Funny enough that many or some of those month names are to some extent being used in other Slavic languages also. Of course, it's not from Croatian, it's from Slavic, from Old Church Slavic or Proto-Slavic, whatever. and but I'm gonna talk about this at the end also. The seventh month is Srpanj, and Srp is a sickle, so they were in the seventh month collecting the wheat with the sickle on the fields. The eighth month is Kolovos. It's from Kolo and Voziti. So they had their wagon uh, pulled by horses, and they were gathering or collecting the fruits and everything from the fields, harvesting. The ninth month is Rujan, and Ruino comes from the word for red, or Jose, if you know the wine, the kind of wine, like when the leaves are turning from green to yellow and then to red. This kind of red is Ruino. It's quite archaic, and there is no other, at least I don't know of any other word which has the same root or has this is from the same group or family. Then number 10 is obvious again. It's listopad, and list is it can be a piece of paper but also a leaf, and padati means to fall. So in the 10th month in October, the leaves are falling. The 11th month is Studeni, which is the cold one or the freezing one. It's the cold month when the first snow is falling, maybe. And then for the 12th month, I know 3 stories. It's Prosinats. So in the winter, when everything has been gathered and collected from the fields, and outside it's cold and it's snowing and there is a cold wind, there's nothing much you can do besides getting married. You can ask for the hand, so to say, of the bride or of a woman, and so let's say 200 years ago they said begging for a woman's hand, and that means prosody, for example. Like, one of the meanings of prosody is to beg. Now it is pejoratively connected to beg, like begging for money. But before then it was like saying, please, will you marry me? Then the next theory is they were praying a lot in the 12th month, but that's more connected to Christianity, and it was maybe later on. And waiting for the coming of for the birth of Christ. And the third theory is paganic, I'd say. Peasants would think it's a bad sign when the winter is very very hard or very cold, and the animals of the forest would come to the edge of the village begging for food, not to starve, not to die. And they thought if they die through the winter, it would be a bad sign for them. It would maybe have a bad influence on their destiny. So they poured some fruits or vegetables or whatever, or hay around their village. So the animals were begging for food, and they gave it to them, usually. All right, these are the 12 months. If you happen to travel through Croatia, you will stumble over people using both or not knowing one of them, because of course there are tourists, there are students, there are people who have been working in English or German speaking countries where those calendars or month names are being used. I'm speaking of the Latin ones. And who haven't maybe even learned Croatian at school because they were not in Croatian school. But there are also people who might not understand really or not know exactly about the Latin names. So let's have a short look on a list or of month names. It's quite funny. It's not only Slavic languages, it's also Lithuanian, Old Prussian, which are in a group. Next to Slavic languages which are using those type of very archaic names. For example, we have something like Lipan. Of course, it's not the same, but let's say Lipan, the 6th month, in Ukrainian and Belarusian and Polish, and also Silesian, and in Kashubian, we have this Lipan, but 1 month later, because Croatia is in the south and all the other countries I named or languages are named are being spoken more in the north. So all those trees, the lime trees, are blossoming later, which is interesting. Same goes for Srpanj, like the summer is beginning a little bit later, and it's quite funny. The name of the 11th month is being used. Studeni is being used in Belarusian as the name for the first month for January, and the Macedonian it's also the 11th month. So and in Macedonian it's also wait. What else? Yeah, we have Lipan or something like Lipan in Old Prussian and Lithuanian also. So they're having their summer or blossoming lime trees also later. All right, I will give you this link so you can take a look at this interesting graphic. Have a nice time learning Croatian. Thanks for watching.